Ciao 808. Thanks for tuning in to another video of mine. Today it's back to an actual beauty video, which is kind of different for me. I haven't done one of these express reviews in a really long time. So long story short, today we are reviewing the Burgundy Bar palette from Maybelline. This palette falls in line with their other palettes that they have released in the past, and I was really anxious to try this out. I had actually seen it pop up on their Instagram a few months ago. I want to say it was around like early January, mid-February, because I thought this would be an amazing palette to have for Valentine's Day. Anyhow, I've tested it out and I have my final review for you guys. If you want a full-on review, go ahead and check out my blog, ciao808.com. It'll be linked down below. But long story short, would I pick up this palette again? The actual answer is no. Maybelline has been coming out with these palettes, and to be honest, they have all been hits and misses. A lot of them really are far misses from what I had expected from the palette. So in here you get 12 eyeshadows. It retails for about $10. I found this one at my local Walmart. And in here you have a bunch of shimmery, glittery shades, and then you have two matte colors down here. The actual packaging feels a little bit nicer than the older packaging. And then this front part kind of reminds me of like the NARS packaging, where it's like that matte velvet. And inside you have just, it opens up like that, and then you have like this dual-ended applicator. I don't know what they expect you to do with that, but you have it. And then this is what the eyeshadows look like. So like I said, you have two matte colors right down here, and then the rest are like all shimmery and glittery shades. And much like their other palettes, they give you instructions on how you can use the colors together. One of the major things though that I did notice with this palette is that I don't know if these are pressed into pans or if they actually look like it's pressed into the actual palette. I don't know if you'll be able to see, but this color right here actually looks like it's kind of lifting up out of the palette itself. And the reason why I wanted to mention that, and I don't know if you'll be able to tell in this older palette, but in here you can see like the little silver linings in the palette around the eyeshadows that are the actual pans, where this, you can't see that. Focus. Like, you can't really see any of that silver that's coming through. And the reason I wanted to mention it is because I would not feel comfortable traveling with this palette, simply because of that. I feel like the eyeshadows, it would be easier for the eyeshadows to dry out and fall out or crack while you travel. Honestly, I do think that these palettes, the shape, they pack so much in such a compact shape. I would definitely travel with it. But just because I don't know, it just doesn't look like it. I mean, if you've seen the Crayola palette that's come out, I was watching a review from Jeffree Star and Laura Lee, and those eyeshadows and blushes and stuff were actually packed into the pan, and it looks exactly like this. So I don't know if it cuts down the cost of the palette, but just something to consider when you're purchasing, if you're interested in purchasing it. Now, I find this palette to be an okay palette. In my opinion, it's really missing a matte cream color, something to tie a look together. For me, a matte cream color is something that I will gladly use to tie in a look and make a complete look. To me, using a shimmery, I'm not fully opposed to using a shimmery eyeshadow. It's just that I feel like it makes me look older, and it emphasizes things underneath my brows that I don't want emphasized. So here you have no matte cream shadows. I actually been going into my Too Faced Mary Macarons palette, and I've been using the color Coconut to use as a highlight. But anyhow, you have 10 shimmery shades in here, two matte ones like I've said. You have, this one makes a pretty decent transition slash crease color. This brown here, I don't find it to be dark enough to really anchor a look down and give you like a nice depth. It to me just seems like it's typical matte brown. I would have preferred if they gone a few shades darker in it, just so that way you could really create a smoky, sultry eye. The rest of the colors, they're okay, but I really do find that once you blend them out, they end up looking relatively the same, which is unfortunate, because if that's the case, I much rather prefer going into a different palette or getting a different palette and creating different looks with it. Now, I do have this whole entire palette on my eye, but like I said, I've gone into my Mary Macarons palette as my highlight. But I have this matte color here in the transition portion and the outer crease portion. I popped this color right here, this nice dark maroon color, into my outer corner and also my crease. And then I popped this color right here on my the inner 2/3 of my lid, and I blended it out using that color here. Now, overall, I find like I said, the looks that I created were very, very similar to each other. There was never a look that I was like, oh, that's so different, and I love the way it came out. It was very much similar to each other. I would say if you are somebody who likes a palette that just has easy colors that you can pop on your lids, this is a great palette for you, because you could really do that and then have that color right there as your transition / crease color, blend it all out, and you're good to go. But honestly, it's nothing that blows my socks off. I find that the shimmery, like these shimmery colors here, there are pretty decent sized chunks of glitter in there, and I find that they tend to fade away after about 4 to 6 hours of wear. So that's one thing to note, even with an eyeshadow primer. And even the darker colors here that I've used on my lids, they have all lost their intensity within 4 to 6 hours of wear, which is kind of disappointing. You know, what I really was searching for here was an ode to their really old quads. This is my favorite quad of all time, their Chai Latte quad. I love this thing. I traveled so much with just this quad, and I really love the whole formulation of it. I want them to get back to this era where their eyeshadows were just so good. Like I said, a lot of this is hit and miss. I find that the colors fade super easily. I find that there's just nothing very special about this palette. You create looks, they, in my opinion, look relatively the same. I was really hoping that this would be a better version of the Huda Beauty Mauve Obsessions palette, which in my opinion it is, but it still falls short in regards to the pigmentation, the longevity of a lot of these shadows. And I mean, the pigmentation is there, but once you blend it out, you lose a lot of it, and then you have to go back and pack it back on, and then you have to blend it out again. It's just a lot of work to get this to show up. And even though it's $10, it's a really good affordable palette. I just don't think that, I don't know, I would rather save my money for something else. And to be honest, I wish that there's a little bit more, I don't know, I wish that there was something unique about this palette, but what really bothers me too is that you are stuck with 1, 2, 3 shades that are very, very similar to each other. Very similar. And when you put them on the lid, you really, or on your eye I should say, you really can't tell the difference. So why do you put that in there? Honestly, if you see this in the drugstore, I say this is the better formulation of all the other palettes that they have put out in the past, but you're still gonna wanna draw in probably some other colors from other palettes that you may have. I don't think it's a really great everyday go-to necessarily, just because you do have to work with it, unless you're somebody like me who doesn't mind popping one color on the lid and then just blending it out with a matte crease color. If you're somebody who wants to create like these beautiful looks, I don't know, I don't think this is necessarily a palette that you're gonna wanna go for. To me, it's just an average okay palette, but it is better than the palettes that they have come out with in the past. Hope that makes sense. But anyhow, anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you have tried this palette out, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Like I said, I have a full-on review on my blog with a little bit more pictures, just kind of showing you the different looks that I did throughout the week and also exactly how it wore throughout the week. So for more of that, you can go ahead and check out chowchow808.com or just check the link below. I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and until my next one, I'll see you guys later. Bye!